Hi, hello, welcome back to the channel. This is the weekly reading recap for Friday the 3rd of November. This week I have two books that I have read to discuss. I've also got one short story, and then I've also got next week's reading to talk about. After that, then we'll go into how the channel has done this week and any updates that I have to give you about the channel specifically. And then we'll have kind of anything else that I want to run through. So, sometimes I might talk TV, film, games, etc. I don't think I actually have anything for that this week, but we'll find out when we get there what I'm thinking about. So, the first book that I read this week was now, I think when I filmed last week's weekly update, I hadn't finished Holly yet, but I did finish Holly and I really, really liked it. If I already talked about this in last week's update, apologies. But yeah, Holly was really good. I think it ended up being my favourite, actually, of the Holly Gibney, Bill Hodges books, although there were two extremely minor things that kind of pulled me out of the book. But the book overall ended up being my favourite, I think. Now, I don't have a copy of that to hold up because I've already loaned it out to my mother-in-law, who was really interested in it based on what I told her about it. But straight after I finished Holly, even though it wasn't technically November yet, I looked at these Sanderson books that I wanted to read in November, the Cytoverse books, so Skyward, Starsight, Cytonic, the Skyward Flight novellas, and Defiant, which comes out on the 21st, I think. And I thought to myself, if I want to be able to comfortably and without having to kind of binge and rush, finish these three books and three novellas before the 20th and then read Defiant, that I'm going to want to start early. So instead of reading any of my might be reads from the October TBR, I just said I'm going to go straight into Skyward, the first book in the Cytoverse, the Skyward series. So I really, really enjoyed Skyward, and I think I enjoyed it even more because I had slightly lowered expectations. I had heard that it was good, but I had not heard that it was as good as I thought it was when I finished it. In the Skyward series, we follow Spencer, who is kind of an ostracised member of this dystopian human colony set, we don't really know how many years in the future, but quite a few years in the future. Basically, she's kind of dealing with this stigma from something that her father has done in the past, and she really wants to kind of clear his reputation, and the way that she thinks that she can do that is by joining the space air force, like the space force, basically, that protects the colonies of humans on this planet from the attacks by alien drones, which are very, very frequent, and they lose a lot of pilots to these drones. So the book, all in all, is kind of like Top Gun mixed with like a YA dystopian sort of vibe, like something like you might see in Hunger Games, for example. I really liked it. I think I actually rated it. I rated it higher than I was expecting to, definitely, because I had been told that it wasn't as good as the Cosmere, but I have to say, it reminds me, in terms of writing style, of Mistborn Era 2, which is my favourite part of the Cosmere, where the books have a faster pace. They are more, they've got some more action, and obviously because it's sci-fi, it's kind of a different flavour as well. So less sword fighting, more dogfighting in like X-Wing style spaceships. So yeah, this one is a firm recommendation from me. I don't think it really has any of the YA tropes that people don't like. So there's no love triangle. There's no like the one romance that is in the book is very 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 minor, and is it isn't really a thing even by the end of the book. It's kind of a subplot or subtext, I would say. Um, so yeah, I really enjoyed it. You can find my full review on here. I've done like a proper like 20-minute classic me review. As soon as I finished Skyward, I started on Defending Elysium, which is the free novelette short story that Sanderson wrote in the Cytoverse, which was actually the first piece of writing that he made of the Cytoverse. And he wrote this back in 2009 on a beach. He's released the Defending Elysium for free on his website. So that's how I read it. I just literally picked up the old tablet and read through it. It took me about 40 minutes. It is short. However, it's really well done. And I really enjoyed that one as well. I think that one of the things that Sanderson says about that short story, which I don't really need to go into too much, basically, as a secret agent who goes to a space station and tries to kind of investigate something, and then we also follow a different secret agent from another agency who is trying to track that guy down and trying to find out what he knows. Really interesting and fun story. I think that Sanderson says in his commentary on the short story that he wanted to take all the things that he likes from epic fantasy, so strong characterizations, world building, lore, magic systems, and inject that into a short story and to see if it could work. And I agree. I think it does work. And it's also really interesting to have read that, and then after having read Skyward, because it's set in the same universe and the same magic system or whatever you want to call it is used in both books, but the Defending Elysium is kind of like, it shows you a lot of the like end game powers that you might be able to get when you're fully trained and you fully understand the magic system, which Spencer obviously doesn't in Skyward. So that was really fun. And it kind of gives you like a little prequel of like what might happen in the Skyward series. I say might happen because I, after that, straight away started reading Starsight, the second book in the Skyward series. So I haven't finished Starsight. I am here. Literally, I've got 40 pages left, but I had a quiet half an hour to make this video, so I thought I'll make this video instead of finishing the book, and then I will finish the book at some point and shoot my review. So in Starsight, we're still following Spencer, and I won't go into really any specifics here. I'll give you extreme vagaries, but basically Spencer discovers that she has the opportunity to leave the planet, and she does leave the planet, and she goes into a kind of unfamiliar and tense situation where she's surrounded by alien species that she's never met before, and she's kind of living on an alien space station. A lot of people have said that they don't like Starsight as much as Skyward because you lose all the characters from Skyward except for Spencer and Mbot. So a lot of people don't like Starsight because they like that like ragtag, military unit of friends and kids sort of vibe, and that isn't really in Starsight. The characters that Spencer spends a lot of time with in Starsight are very different, although I do really enjoy his show in the Kitson, and if you've read the books you'll know what's going on with them, but they're really funny. So yeah, I'm really enjoying Starsight so far. I don't know whether I'm enjoying it more or less than Skyward. I'll have to finish it to find out. But I think that the additions and the expansions that it makes on the world are really, really interesting. And I've really enjoyed some of the bits with Doomslug as well. So Doomslug is Spencer's pet from the first book, and he or she or it comes along with her on her kind of new adventure. So yeah, when I've read that, I will make my review, but currently feeling very positive on it, feeling, I would say, probably about the same as the first book. Up next, after that, oh, actually, no, there's nothing else to talk about in terms of what I have read. So let's talk about what's next. Let's talk about what I'm reading next week, which is going to be something that I have not got yet. Is my next read, which is Skyward Flight. So Skyward Flight is a collection of short stories, not short stories even, sorry, it's a collection of novellas that are all set during the time of Cytonic, the third Skyward book, unless I'm wrong. I think actually 2 are set during Cytonic and 1 is set after, but the suggested reading order is to read 2 novellas, Cytonic, and then the third novella. And then once you've read that third novella, you have you're teed up to read Defiant, the new book that comes out. So I'm actually probably way too fast on the reading for this month so far. But I don't have Skyward Flight, so who knows when I'll be able to start it. Ideally, I don't think I can get it from the library. I'm not sure I want to buy a copy because it's a bit weird to own like some novellas in like a collection of novellas. Although I did see that my local Waterstones has it, so I'm still deciding. But I do have Cytonic. So I actually got the hardback for this one from the library, so that's fun. I do enjoy, I think I prefer reading hardback to paperback. Although actually, the one thing that I haven't mentioned, and I didn't even mention this in the review, which is a bit silly of me, which is that I have actually been listening to the Cytonic books, Cytoverse books even, primarily via audiobook. So I really struggle with audiobooks. I usually use audiobooks as if I can't read something because I'm doing like chores around the house or I'm out for a run or at the gym or something, I will listen to an audiobook. However, with these books, I picked up the first audiobook because I had to go and drive. Had to do kind of not a long drive. I had to basically drive somewhere that was like 40 minutes away and then drive back. And I was like, oh, that's, 90 minutes of lost reading time, which I was really into Skyward, and I was like, oh, I just kind of want to keep reading. So I bought the audiobook and really, really liked it. Loved the narrator. I think that the way that she does all the voices for the different characters by giving the different accents is really fun. I think it's difficult to say 100% get this audiobook because I found out recently that is the UK version of the audiobook and the American version of the audiobook is very different, and a lot of people say the American version is not very good, but this UK one is probably one of the best audiobooks I've ever heard, actually, to be honest. Really, really enjoying it. And for the second book, so yeah, for Skyward, I would say I probably read maybe half of it via audiobook because it's not a massively long book. I think it's only like 15 hours long in audio. But I read most of that, about half and half actually, with audiobook. But with Starsight, I think it's way more than half. I think it's probably something like 70% audiobook, 20% physical book, which I don't want to, get too hyperbolic, but that never happens. I never choose to read, never choose audiobooks over reading a physical book. And I have done that multiple times with these books where I've popped their headphones in and like got my tablet out and done some like number puzzles or some colouring or something like that just to stop myself from getting distracted and stop paying attention to the book. But yeah, I've been loving the audiobooks. So yeah, a big recommend on that on the audiobooks. But back to what I'm going to read. So yes, Skyward Flight, then Cytonic, and the fact that I've read 2 Skyward books this week pretty much, I will finish Starsight in the like half an hour that this video takes to export. The fact that I've read 2 Skyward books in like 5 or 6 days, I think that I will have to find something else to keep me busy until the 20th, because it's only the 3rd. So if it takes me, say for example, 8 to 10 days to read Cytonic and Skyward Flight, then I'm still gonna have like a week until the next. Pardon me, a week until the new book comes out. And I really thought I would be like struggling to get there by the time the book came out. But these are so bingeable and so readable, and the audiobooks have been so good that I've been probably reading way more in terms of like hours this week than I've been able to previously. So yeah, I mean, like big up to the audio narrator, who I think Susie something. I don't actually have this in front of me. Let me grab the old Audible, and that'll probably tell me. Title details. So the narrator, oh no, Susie is the American one. It's Sophie Aldred is the narrator for the Skyward books. So yeah, genuinely really love them. And I'm really looking forward to getting Skyward Flight, because I am pretty certain that it's going to be book novellas from the perspective of other members of the crew, and that's always really interesting. I love, for example, the interludes in the Stormlight books, where we focus on some of the non-main characters like Rock. Okie dokie. So let's talk about what's gone up on the channel this week. So we had on Monday my Holly review, and then we had after that my November TBR, and then after that was the Skyward review. So I did think about putting together a video to put out yesterday, but I hadn't finished Starsight, and I didn't want to rush through and finish it. I mean, I could have finished it yesterday, but I didn't want to rush through and finish it because it was only the 2nd of the month, and that was like the second of 4 books that I had for this month. So I thought, let's not rush through Starsight, so I decided not to put out a video yesterday. As I've said before, I do like to put out a video every weekday, so Monday through Friday, and I do try to get them out at around 5 p.m, although sometimes I finish the book late and that's when you get the video. I didn't want to force out a video, because when it comes to the non-review content, I like to sit with them and do some research and do some thinking, and I wasn't really in the brain space to make a video that I thought was worth your time, so we didn't make one. I frequently miss the Thursday video, as you may know if you're a big fan of the channel, but the more and more books that we read on here, the more stuff that there will be for me to talk about. So for example, I could have done a Cytoverse Was It Worth It video. I keep threatening to do Was It Worth It videos, and I will do one eventually, but I think I would like to give myself some space between having read the book. So I wanted to do Holly Gibney Was It Worth It, but that will probably come in a few weeks' time. Also, I don't want to just smother everyone in Stephen King Holly Gibney books, because I have realised that if I spend an entire month doing Stephen King books and you're not into Stephen King, then there's a high chance that you might want to unsubscribe. And so this month, where I do all of the Cytoverse books for Sanderson, is probably going to be the last time I ever do a month-long reading event where I'm reading all the same author or all the same series. So you might see it in future that 2 books in the month will be same author, same series, but I will try and vary it up so that, like for example, if you don't care about Brandon's Cytoverse, I'm not going to say, well, that's all you're getting this week or month, in fact. because it's a real easy way for you to just kind of ignore my channel for a month, and then how do I get you back? So yeah, I only thought about that after I had announced the whole November TBR. I'm kind of interested in reading the new self-published Sister Samurai that Andrew Watson profiled in his November releases video. I'll probably wait because it only came out a couple of days ago, so I might see if there's any reviews around it, and if there are, maybe I'll read that between Cytonic and Defiant. So yeah, if you'd be interested in seeing a review of that from me, let me know. In terms of what videos this week have done the best, so the November TBR was the best performing video. But the thing that I will say is that the November TBR and the Skyward review have both had loads of comments, which is really good. I always like talking to people in the comments, and it's been especially nice to chat to people about these books in particular, because I feel like the sentiment on booktube is that they're not that great, or that they are kind of like second tier Sanderson. But I personally, so far from the two that I've read, would say that they're just as good as many of his Cosmere books, and I would probably rather read those than what would I rather read them? I think the second two books in Mistborn Era 1 were just not as good as the first, or the books in Era 2. So yeah, maybe I'd say I'd rather read the Skyward books over that for now. But also it's been a while since I read those, so maybe I'm only remembering stuff I don't like as much. So yeah, so I think that's everything. As I said, I haven't got Skyward Flight yet, as I'm gonna have to either pick it up on Kindle, where it's not horribly expensive, it's like £6, or decide whether I want to spend the extra and get a physical copy. If I do get a physical copy, I can donate it to the library, which will make it easier for other people to read this series, because there is literally only one copy in the whole library system, and like my library system has like 100 libraries, like, or at least 30 to 50 or whatever, but no copies of Skyward Flight. Well, one copy of Skyward Flight that someone else has. So I don't want to wait for that. I'm probably just going to end up buying it. Yeah, so I hope you're enjoying the Skyward content. If there's any recommendations that you have for something that's kind of short and fun that I could read while I'm waiting for Defiant to come out, I am all ears. I could, as I've been threatening to multiple times, go back to JCM Burns' Hybrid Helix, or to Philip Chase's Adan trilogy. I'd love to get the Adan trilogy finished by the end of the year, so that when I do my series wrap up in December, I can be like, haha, I've done it. Although I do think that's probably quite unlikely, and I expect it will hang over into next year. Although next year is Wheel of Time year, so do I want two fantasy books that are kind of in that sort of classic vein? Guess we'll never know. So yeah, if you like this video, please give it a like. If you didn't like it, please drop some constructive criticism in the comments. I'd love to have a chat with you about it. I welcome all constructive criticism. If it's the criticism is, oh, you should get a haircut, then you can ignore that and don't comment that. Please share this video with your friends if you think they'd like the channel, or if they've read the Skyward books. And for everything else, I will see you on Monday with my Starsight review. Have a good weekend. Bye.